Greetings, this is DT with Interactive Homeschooling, and I'm continuing on with video 2 of planning a block schedule and unit study. And what I'm going to do with this video is to walk you through my planning for a geometry unit for my 6th graders. Okay, so with the block schedule, we talked about picking your topics or your subjects, and for this one, we're going to use geometry. After you've done that, you want to know what you're going to cover. There are some subjects that you're going to be strong in, and you're going to know, some of the standards. But for math, it's always good to kind of refer back to what some of the standards are for your grade levels and so forth. So what I'm going to do is to take a look at the Common Core standards. I'm going to go to the Common Core site, and let me go to the beginning for you. At the beginning, again, this is corestandards.org, and these are the National Common Core Standards. It's going to have math and language arts. We're going to go to math standards, and since I'm looking for geometry, over here they have the standards separated by grade level. In high school, they have them separated by domain. If you go down a little further, you'll be able to see the standards by domain, and we can go directly to geometry. Now, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because like I said, I want to know exactly what the standards are, what vocabulary my children need to have under their belt, and what are some of the different mathematical tools that I need to equip them with. So I'm going to use these. It's going to have them divided by grade level, and this is going to go up to 8th grade. So if your child is going to go beyond that, what you would do is go to the high school section to geometry and go through those as well. What I'm going to do for this video, though, is I'm going to create my unit study. To create my unit study, one of the forms that I like to use is going to be a form for creating unit studies with Donna Young. You can find it at donnayoung.org, and it's called the Unit Study Planner. I'm going to go ahead, and I've actually already downloaded this. It's going to be a Word document, so we're going to open it up. And what we're going to do, and I'm going to try and do this as quickly as possible, walking you through just my general steps in creating one. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to put in the topic or the title. It's going to be geometry. And for grade levels, I'm just going to put middle school. And what subject? It's going to be math, so we'll get rid of all of this. We're going to leave this blank because this just takes a little time. Basically, for the overview, you're just going to type in what the unit is going to be about, time frame. We are going to cover this over 10 weeks, so we'll type that in. What I wanted to get to is this section, standards addressed by this unit. So what we're going to do is simply copy and paste what are the standards, and that way we have this printed for our record keeping, showing what we covered, and also for us to know exactly what was covered as well. So let's pull these. I'm going to go back to the site with the Common Core standards, and we're just going to copy and paste all the way down. Okay, so we're at the end. All right, so for your unit, you'll be able to show and be able to look back at all of the standards, the Common Core standards for mathematics from kindergarten all the way up through the 8th grade is what we've put in. If you want to go, again, move your children along to the high school standards, you would just go and add those. I'm going to skip over that just for the sake of time. Objectives and life skills. You can type up a list of objectives, and usually I write these based upon what is in the standards. I'm not going to type that up because I've actually over the previous years created one, and it's a checklist that I'm using for my children, and it's explaining, you know, what vocabulary and things that I want them to do. So I'm going to skip over this section. And let's go down here and have a look at materials. So if you're going to create your own unit study versus buying one, you're going to need to look up, you're going to need to include what resources you're using. So if you're using a textbook, if you're using a some videos online or whatever you're using, you want to put those there. So I'm going to start to add some of these that we found. I always start by going to YouTube. We'll go online here again. So we're going to go to YouTube, and I'm going to show you that what I've already done for the sake of time is done a little bit of searching on YouTube to see what videos they have for geometry, and found a series that I did like, Math Fortress. And so I created a little playlist. So what I'm going to do is to go ahead and copy the link to this playlist into the file.
All right, in this video we're going to talk about basically the vote.
Again, preparing this helps me so that we're not looking for things later. So that's there. And then we're going to add any books that you have. So I have not a textbook, but a workbook that we definitely will use. So I'll go ahead and type that in. And it's by Creative Teaching Press. Normally I'll add in the ISBN number and things of that nature just so I can identify the book. Anything else we're going to use, I do have a bunch of Montessori cards and some sets and things that we're going to use, but we're going to put those in later as for our tools. As far as looking for books, I do like to make sure when I'm searching, I'm going to go to my local library. So let's see. We'll go to the library, and I want to be able to get the books that we're going to use, and I want to have them available. I want to not spend a lot of time at the library as well. So by going ahead and searching your library early, finding books that you want to use in your grade level or reading level, you can go ahead and have the library place them on hold without actually leaving the house. And some of the books are going to be at a library close to you and some are not. So what I do is to always request an interlibrary loan to have books transferred to the library closest to me, and then that way I can pick up everything that I need at once. One of our favorite books for geometry is always the Janice Cleave. Let's see, geometry. And so what I would do is just to click this book and write and place a hold for it. But I definitely want to also add it to my list. So we're going to copy and paste again into our resource list of books that we're going to be using. Oops. Let me try that once more. All right, so we're adding that. And again, what I normally do is just add The call, if I'm going to get this from the library, I'll go ahead and just add either the call numbers or the ISBN number. And it just makes it easier for me to refer back to it. So we'll put that there. All right, so not going to spend too much time on that. Again, this is just how I would normally search for my resources. So I always go to my library or get my resources organized, reserve those, type everything in, my videos. The next thing that I normally do is to I always look at the resources that I have in my home. I'll have to do a separate video for that, but I do have the resources already pulled from the shelves that I would like to use. And if I didn't have enough things, or if I didn't feel like we had anything to help with that topic, the next space that I would go to is going to be Pinterest. And so I would go here to brainstorm, get some ideas. So we'll just put in geometry and let's see what they give us. Let's see, geometry activities. Okay, so there's some cool interactive notebooking and nice hands-on projects, and these are some of the things that we already have ready to do. We have our interactive notebooking, but lots and lots of things on Pinterest. So if you can't come up with ideas on your own, then definitely go to Pinterest. Go ahead and create yourself a board. At this point, if I needed to, I would create a board for geometry. And I would go ahead and start pinning some of these ideas and begin gathering some of these resources should I decide to use them. Okay, so lots of ideas there. So we'll go back to our unit. If there were any websites that we use, we would go ahead and list them here. Any reproducible worksheets or handouts or things of that nature that we use, we'll put here as well. If we use software, and some of the software that we do use are things like Middle School Advantage. So we could put this in here that we'd use geometry on Middle School Advantage if, you know, but for time's sake, we're just going to skip over that. Just want to run through it. Supplies, this is where I would list all of my Montessori supplies and all of our board games and things of that nature, power solids, kits that we'll be using. We'll add those to the supplies. We'll just type that in. Power solids. Any vocabulary words as you went through and looked at the standards, this is where I would type in our vocabulary list. But again, I have a separate checklist that I'm going to be giving my children that I'll share in a little bit. So it has the vocabulary there. Learn about plane figures and closed figures and congruent shapes and polyhedrons and things of that nature. So I would type up my vocabulary list here. Any words that we've used for spelling. If you're going to do a cross-curricular unit, this is where you want to pull those things together. So you would use the same terminology that you're helping them to learn for their math skill and go ahead and apply this to their spelling list for, you know, if you're going to be doing this for 10 weeks, if you want to use some of these words or terms in your spelling vocabulary for a couple of weeks, that's where this is helpful. So you would type these in this location here. If you use religion and there's a Bible verse, you can add that in as well. Any other references we put here, but we don't have any. Field trips. I can't think off the top of my head just yet, but I'm sure we could probably make a trip to the art museum and learn, visit and see geometry and art. So that's something that we may go ahead and add, adding a trip to the museum. labs, projects, and activities. So this is where you would, add in some of your projects. So if you're going to build 3D models, with toothpicks and marshmallows and things of that nature, you can start to add some of those things into here. So what this is, again, it's just your unit study is going to help you to kind of organize your thinking, lets you gather all of your resources. It acts as a very good guideline to help you know what you want to cover in teaching your child. If you're putting this together yourself, you need that framework. And it also helps